U.S. job growth picked up in November with non-farm payrolls increasing by 146,000. The unemployment rate falling to 7.7%. That is the lowest level since December of 2008. Joining us from the White House this morning for our first on CNBC interview is Alan Krueger, chairman of the Council of Economic Advisors. Dr. Krueger, good morning.
Good morning.
As residents of the northeastern United States, a lot of us are still trying to get our heads around the idea that Sandy didn't affect these numbers at all. Are we almost certain to get some major revisions next month?
Well, the Bureau of Labor Statistics reported that they didn't see a substantial effect of the hurricane on the top line numbers. However, the report does show that over 1 million workers who normally work full-time work part-time during the reference week, during the survey week, which was a result of the storm. So I think we see lots of indicators that the storm has had an effect. Today's report shows a picture of the economy continuing to heal, but there's a long way to go till we're back to full health, and that's why the president has been pushing the Congress for a balanced plan to address our fiscal problems and support the economy.
All right. Speaking of which, I'm glad you brought that up. Our Steve Leisman interviewed the Treasury Secretary a couple of days ago and had a question for him. I wonder if you'd listen to this piece of tape and get a reaction on the other side.
I want to understand the administration's position when it comes to raising taxes on the wealthy, those making more than $250,000. If Republicans do not agree to that, is the administration prepared to go over the fiscal cliff?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, again, we see there's no prospect to an agreement that doesn't involve those rates going up on the top 2% of the wealthiest American members, only 2%.
Dr. Krueger, as the man who is maybe more than anyone the steward of the economy itself, are you okay with that?
Absolutely. You know, the president made clear during the election that he wants a balanced approach. That we can't afford the tax cuts for the most fortunate among us, that the way to provide opportunity and build the middle class in this country is to get on a fiscally sustainable path, to ask the wealthiest to pay a little bit more. The president couldn't have been clearer about that.
Well, Dr. Krueger, Jim Cramer here. At CNBC, we have a campaign. It's called Rise Above. And the essence of the Rise Above campaign is that there should be more spirit of compromise. There was no compromise from Treasury Secretary Geithner in that interview. Would you wear a Rise Above pin, and would you rise above?
You know, I think the Secretary and the President have drawn very few red lines here. The President has made it clear that he's not going to sign an extension of the Bush tax cuts for the very wealthiest, but he hasn't said my way or the highway. He's made it clear that he is willing to negotiate, but the math has to work out, and he's still waiting for a counteroffer to be proposed where the math does work out.
Dr. Krueger, we've added an average of, I believe it's about 151,000 jobs over the course of the year, with only one more to go in terms of an employment report. In a posting this morning from you, a statement from you, you talk about the addition of a $2,200 tax increase for the middle-class taxpayer in this country should, of course, we go over that fiscal cliff. What is that going to do to the economy and the ability to create jobs next year?
The last thing the economy needs right now is for a big tax hike on the middle class. The $2,200 tax increase for the typical family that you alluded to, we calculate that would cause consumer spending, to fall by $200 billion next year. It would cut the growth of consumption by 1.7 percentage points, shave 1.4 percentage points off of GDP growth. So there's a very simple solution here, which is just to extend the middle-class tax cuts, which the Senate has already done.
All right, Dr. Krueger, we got some good numbers this morning. I'm just willing to take them at face value, these employment numbers. I'm sure you agree. Better than it did. Not great because we won 400,000 jobs. But do we still need to spend so much money on the payroll tax cut and extended unemployment gains, given the fact that we got some good news today?
Well, first and foremost, we need to extend the middle-class tax cuts. That should be our highest priority. The economy could still use support in the short term. I think the more we do for the long term to show that we're getting on a fiscally sustainable path, that gives us more room in the short term. And I think today's report and, frankly, the past 33 months where we've had continuous private sector job growth should provide some confidence that the policies the president has pursued have been effective, have been helping us to dig our way out of the deep recession that started back in 2007.
Dr. Krueger, looking at some of the internals, U6, unemployment duration, average duration of the unemployed, those numbers are starting to tick down a bit, and I wonder if you think we are actually starting to chip away at the longer-term structural challenges that the labor market faces?
We have a very long way to go. And, I would say even before the recession, we had structural challenges. Even before the recession, the middle class had been under a lot of stress, and particularly those struggling to get into the middle class were facing an uphill climb. So we're going to keep working at the types of policies that help the middle class and help those struggling to get into the middle class.
Dr. Krueger, thank you for your time.
Terrific. Thank you, Dr. Krueger.
Thanks for having me.